Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host, Swamp Swimmer, and with me today, back to the channel, Andrea, the great Italian and not only Tomb King player, to discuss my Game 3 of the Las Vegas Open, because I need some help with this list I'm facing. It's an interesting one. But anyway, before we get to that, thank you for coming back on the channel. And we've already talked about your Warhammer journey, so I thought I'd throw a curveball at you. What is your favorite fantasy movie or show?
Wow,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
this, all right. Well, first of all, thanks Kenyon for having me again. Exciting
Of
to
course.
be back on your channel. I enjoyed a lot our first battle report together.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's my favorite fantasy?
Yeah.
Well, I have to be honest. I'll be probably obvious, but I think The Lord of the Rings, like the first trilogy from Peter Jackson, I think that was my. It's always my nice place, right? So it's my place. So anytime I'm like very sad or anything, I just put it on and
it's your happy place.
It's my.
So
happy
yeah,
place,
that's a very legitimate, good answer. But my go-to is the 1980 whatever Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is my favorite.
Oh well,
hands
that's
down.
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, the Barbarian. Love that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is amazing. That is like It's
Wait, so are you also a fan of the Hobbit trilogy from Peter Jackson?
Yes, I do. I am, and I know that many people are not, and they are on the contrary extremely against it. But like, I particularly enjoyed the number one, like the first part when Gandalf goes and recruits Bilbo, with the dwarves coming, the songs, they cook, they do all that thing. It's so good that first maybe 45 minutes, an hour, that I'm in love with that. Like all sixes, easy.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Anyone watching, if first of all, please hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. But also, what is your favorite fantasy movie or show? Please put it in the comment below. I love to hear from you guys. But you know what? Enough of this talk. Let's get to this game that I played, round 3.
Yeah.
Right after this.
Yeah.
Okay, so round 1, I got 15 points. Round 2, I got 12. 2 medium to small wins. I'm feeling pretty good. I think that's a great spot to start a tournament in the first 2 games. I then get paired into Chris, who's playing Mortuary Cults, Two Kings of Khemri.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've played one single game against a Mortuary Cult list, so I'm a little don't know what's happening. But this is we're obviously playing in Las Vegas. This is the Las Vegas Open 2025. And this is their
awesome experience, by the way.
Awesome experience.
This so is their I did it with you, man. Like, we had
This is their one special scenario. It's called Capture. It uses the rules for like the thing you can control in the center, but it gives some extra bonuses. To be quite honest, it does not come into any consequence for our game. I did for some other people, so I'm just putting it out there, but there's no need to really talk about it. If you're interested in my list, of course I'm running the Beastmen. Please click the link. It'll right above my head. It'll take you to our round 1 video, or my round 1 video, where I go over my list in a little more detail. So I'm just going to jump right ahead to Chris's list. This damn Mortuary Cult list. This is
nasty.
This is a nasty list. I learned the hard way. This is a nasty list. Let's take a minute and go through this list and try to understand exactly what it does, because it does some pretty crazy things.
Yes. So the whole concept of the Mortuary Cult is to play in combo using the special rules of the army, right?
Yes.
So while you go through the list, I'll just like call out maybe a couple of things, because I also did a tournament with the Mortuary calls in New Jersey, and I could experience firsthand. I was like, okay, like some very strong stuff here. So
there is some stuff. So for right off the bat, 2 level 4s on necromancy. And basically, the whole concept of this list is to lower your leadership and then hit you with catapult shots that cause you to panic, and then hit you with the casket magic missile. Yeah. Which is you take a panic check, and if you fail it, it does strength 6, multi-wound 2 hits.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah.
So the point of all this is, so having 2 level 4 wizards on necromancy, to me, it's a lot of points on necromancy, but it creates this combo. So now, a couple of callouts here is he's using the possibility to stack the effects of different vortexes, because remember, you cannot stack the same hex twice. So, for example, if you have the number 6, which is Spirit Leech from necromancy, and you cast it twice on the same unit, you don't get -4. You only get -2 because X's are not cumulative, but vortexes are. So basically, from the way I see this is -2 for Spirit Leech, -1 the first vortex, minus another 1 the second vortex, so puts you at 4. Then shoots with first catapult down 5, second catapult down 6. So best case scenario, you are at leadership 4 if you have a general with leadership 10, but in your case, it's either leadership 2 or 3.
Yes, exactly. And then they've got you down to super low leadership, and the catapult hits you. You fall back in good order. Then the 2 casket spells, which are 36-inch range, so they're gonna reach you. Yeah. And then you take a leadership check.
Yeah, and he sees 360, so if in case he has a hill, he's gonna see everything on the whole battlefield, excluded stuff that is behind another hill or like a wood. But aside from that, he's gonna see you everywhere, and he's gonna beat you hard with those 2. And again, the combo here is also the casting ability of wizards within a mortuary cult, which is basically +4 because they're 2 level 4, +5 because there is a casket within 12 inches from them, and then they can sacrifice from 1 to 3 wounds on either Ushaptis or scorpions or swarms.
And that's exactly why he has that 1 unit of 4 tomb swarms in his core, and he literally, while we were playing, he referred to it as the battery, because he would take wounds off of it, get a big like +7 to cast, +8 to cast, whatever it was, and then he'd immediately in the next turn heal that swarm back up.
Yeah, totally. So that's exactly what the gameplay, and also now he's running just a Necrosphinx and no dragons. That's what I can see, but he's running a unit of 5 Ushaptis. The other thing is, if you don't one-shot any of his units, he's gonna heal back like crazy.
Yep.
Because every time you heal with a Mortuary Cult, if you have another wizard within 12 of the one that is trying to do a rise, the special ability is gonna heal 1 wound extra.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be,
this. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like this list is unfair, but this is a very, very strong list. Like this list, basically at the beginning, and it's long range. It's basically a shooting list, but if at the beginning of the game, if you get lucky with your dice, or like you roll above average, it's a really uphill battle, like it's especially against a low leadership combat list, which unfortunately I am. It's a very, very uphill battle. And I'm gonna present this question to you, Andrea, but don't answer it right now. We're gonna answer it at the end of the battle report.
Yep.
What is the turning point for you personally when you walk up to the table, you realize you're in a really, really bad matchup? You realize that before the game starts. What's really the breaking point? What's the point where you're like, there's no way I can win this game. I am not going to engage. I'm going to go castle up in the corner, let them come to me, and just conserve points and play for a 9 or a 10-point game. Think about that. But let's jump into the battle report.
Great question. Yeah, that's a great question. I love it. Yep, we'll get
because
that.
I realize a lot of times I need to do that, or I look back at games and say I needed to do that in a tournament, and I struggle personally with like when to pull the trigger, when to make that decision.
Right. Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And knowing your list, knowing his list, and also knowing the scoring system at LVO.
Yeah.
The Vegas, like there are a few things here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the battle report.
Yep.
So here's deployment. I believe he got first turn. He's got the Necrosphinx right down the middle. He's got both of the Scorpions flanking his whole army. The big block in the center, headed toward that ruin in the center of the table, which is the magical piece of terrain that you need to control to get extra points. He's got a catapult in the back, a catapult on the hill, 2 caskets on the hill, and the Ushabti right in front of the caskets. And then right in the center, between his big block and the caskets, is that swarm battery with all 3 of his wizards just kind of floating around in there. And then he's got his horse archers off to the right. Me, I think he didn't have a whole lot of drops, so I got a chance to respond to his drops. I didn't have a whole lot of units with high unit strength, so I thought pushing on the centerpiece with my general's unit near the end of the game would be the smart move. And also probably the one target I needed to target first with my double Vile Tide was his Necrosphinx. It was the one flying threat. My thought process immediately was I'm not castling because I want to have fun. I want to roll some dice. So I aimed all of that Vile Tide right at that Necrosphinx. That's the thought process for me.
And you have also a strong combo, to be fair. Like that double Vile Tide. Also a couple of top Bretonia players, they were looking at your list. I was talking with them after my match, and they were like, well, that list for Bretts is like it's scary. Like
it's scary.
It's a combo that can change a game. So for sure, I mean, yes, my 2 cents on the deployment, just like what did you deploy on the right hand side? You are like a Gorgon on the far right.
On the hill is the Shaggoth on my left.
Oh, okay. So that's a Shaggoth on the hill, and on the other side, close to the building, what is that?
That's just a chariot, a pig, and 2 units. So that's my light side.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Well, then it makes sense. Fast stuff, not really. That worth not that many points to kind of tackle maybe Scorpions and one catapult makes sense. Well, his deployment, I am honestly, I don't know. I mean, I thought he would have deployed differently given the list. So here's my.
I think he just wanted to focus on centering all the catapults and the caskets on the hill. He just wanted the
but then he didn't really need it. He didn't really need it to put all that stuff on the hill, because honestly, the single models you have, he would have been able to target them anyway. You don't really run a casket on infantry blocks, so I'm like, I would have probably tried to deploy a little closer, more button up, because the whole point of his list is also having those 35 warriors with Necarian phalanx, which means that he doesn't give ground. So that unit is designed to get a charge, hold, and then having Ushabtis and Necrosphinx flank charging or counter charging anyway. I'm not a big fan of Ushabti with break weapons, honestly. Move 5, no swift stride, initiative 1 anyway. I'm like, not a fan of them. Toughness 4, 3 wounds, basically naked. But okay, I mean, I see that. I would have deployed just differently on the hill, but I think he's doing what we were expecting to, right? So he's keeping the swarms close to the mages.
Yep.
To battery charge the casting, and probably he also picked the reserve move.
Yes, he did. He did do the reserve move. The dust to the something wind or something like that. Desert wind, maybe.
Desert wind, yes, which gives reserve move. So basically, he cast the Steed of Darkness. What's the name?
Spectral Steed.
Spectral Steed, which gives what? Fly
10. So he did that on his on the BSB character, which also had the magic missile. I forgot which magic missile it was. But he'd cast it on him. He'd jump out in front, get enraged for the magic missile, shoot something, then jump back with the reserve move. I mean, all of this is relying heavily on him getting all of these spells off. But when you're casting at a +8, like, the odds are you're going to get a bunch of spells off. You know what I mean? Because he's also sitting out of my dispel bubble. Yeah.
So yes, it's I know it's like having him on a dragon, but not really. So you can still see 360, and he can jump in and out from the units. So he basically gets 10 inches of range for free.
Yep.
To any magic he has. So for example, the Spirit Leech, which is usually like a short range, it goes to 28 inches range. Same thing for 28 inches range, the Spirit Leech. He gets another 10 inches on the Vortex. He gets the Magic Missile Unquiet Spirits at 25, which is a lot. And then again, the Wind Blast from Elementalism, if he picks that, if he gets that. And then you also have to give ground, so it kind of pushes you back. So, I mean, the list build is very there's a lot of unlocks, a lot of stuff working together in the list, which is really, it's actually a really cool list. I think it's fantastic. Like, I feel like not a whole lot of people are running this list. Actually, you know, before we get to all this, let me run through the game really quickly and tell you what happened. Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So in his turn, he steps up, he shoots off some stuff. It works. See the template, the orange template in the middle of the board. He got Spectral Vortex off, or Spiritual Vortex, whatever it was. It ends up he kills one of those units right in the center, and my Wizard Bunker panics and goes to the edge of the board. Scary. It didn't run off the board, but scary.
That's what happens. You know, if you're not immune to psychology, and now BSBs are not as they used to be in 8th edition or 9th age. So basically, you just reroll very few things, and even if you have a BSB, if you have that many penalties to your leadership, many debuffs, it's a moment, right?
Yeah.
It's like 5 guys.
And also,
you know, and
also the Beastmen have the Mark of Undivided, so I get to reroll panic checks. So that, but not all of these leadership checks and all these spells he's doing are panic checks. They're just straight leadership checks.
Yeah, some of them, yes. For example, the Casket, you have no protection. Against the Casket is just like, if you have a ward save, good for you. If you don't have that, it's just like multiple wounds 2, strength 6, no armor, no regen, no rerolls. It's it's tough. Yeah.
On top of 2, this is a decision. I realized this is a decision point I made. I could push up like I did with my Wizard Bunker and try to one-shot his Necrosphinx.
Yeah.
My thought is if I could do that, that takes away his only big charge threat, which gives free reign to my double Viletide Wizard Bunker to go around and then really start doing some work. It's a big risk, though, because if I don't kill that Necrosphinx, he charges me. I'm screwed. So, I'm feeling saucy. As I said before, I had 2 wins before this. I'm feeling pretty good. I went for the gamble. I shoot him in bottom of turn.
You were in Vegas.
I'm in Vegas. Why not?
For sure. You gotta try, man. You gotta try.
And I don't kill him. I get him down to 1 wound. And
that's what I was telling you. So and
guess what? And then guess what? In 1 turn, I think he was back to full health.
Yeah, for sure. because again, for anybody who doesn't know, that is basically mortuary cults. If you do have wizards within 12 inches from the one that is casting a rise, which again goes off on an 8, but he can reroll that because he also has a BSB. So he's basically trying to cast 3 times. He can heal 3 times, 2 wounds each. So basically, either you one-shot it, or if the 3 heals are like going off, he has 2 checks on an 8 rerollable, and it's gonna be back in full health.
And that's exactly what happened. So we're gonna blow through this now. He, of course, in top of 2, he takes the charge. I decide I could have stuck and like just been stuck there forever with him and never kill him because there's not enough damage coming out of my unit, or I could flee, hopefully rally, come back and do it again. So I decide to flee. I go to where I am there. He redirects into my BSB. I flee with my BSB also.
Perfect. And he ends up being in the middle of the field.
Yeah. And he ends up right there. I ended up multi-charging one of the scorpions on the left, and as you can see from this picture, my wizard bunker is no longer on the table because they failed their rally check and ran off the board.
What
so
was your leadership check on
an 8, and because he charged also my BSB, I didn't have the reroll on the rally check. It wasn't good. On that point, it falls apart. As you can see, there's no... and this moving forward, I do kill that scorpion, but then my 2 monsters are sitting there, and basically in one turn, he kills both of the monsters with casket shots.
Can happen.
Yeah.
I see that happening. It's not strictly on average, but it's, it's a die. It's 1 die.
Yeah.
So you roll a 4, you roll a 5, plus 3, it's 8 shots. Winning on 3s, and then every 3 in is 2 wounds. Like, no, it's a game. It's a tough game for you. I get that.
Oh, there we go. So okay, so obviously I'm gonna jump to the game results here. That's a 0 for me. It's a 20 for Chris. Chris, even though he was crushing me, I was getting like a little salty. I'm human. I get a little annoyed sometimes. Wasn't yelling or anything, but I was just like, oh man, this really sucks. And Chris was a great sport. He understood what I was going through. He was a great opponent. Yeah. He got full marks for sportsmanship. There's no problem with the game, with the sportsmanship in this game, but I got crushed. And I felt like after the game, I felt like there was no chance of me winning. There's nothing I could have done differently. So 2 questions for you, Andrea, to finish out this battle report. 1, what I asked before, where's that trigger point for you to castle up and not engage? And 2, how specifically does this list lose? What do you need to do, or what needs to happen for this list to fail?
Very good questions, both of them. So I'll start with number 1. So I would say I might be biased because, as everybody keeps saying, the room for improvement on my playstyle is that I tend to be very cautious.
You're not perfect? You're not perfect player? What's going on here?
No, not at all. Not at all. And my results are there. So it's clear that I'm far away from being perfect. And one of the problems that I have is that I tend to be extremely cautious with my decisions.
Yeah.
So I might be biased here, but I usually bless the game once I read the list and once I see the deployment. I try to be like, okay, so how is this gonna go? Probably I wouldn't have, pushed for push forward. I would have probably tried to just be conservative and being like, listen, you want to score points? Well, come over. And once you'll be in range of double battle tide, let's pray that what is that, 4d6 or 5d6?
5d6.
5d6 2 times are actually not doing any damage. But I also know it's not easy because the caskets are like shooting 360 at 36 inches range. So not easy for you. I would have probably said, like in the beginning, I'm like, this game, I can't really win it. Because you're really like you're down with the list. Like list to list is like you're
yeah,
way down.
because really, if I had said no, I'm not playing this army, I'm gonna sit in the corner, he would eventually move up, including the caskets, which was a weird rule. The caskets can reserve move, which I didn't know that. Weird.
Yeah, they can.
If I would have just stuck in the corner on the opposite side away from that hill, he maybe would have picked up some chaff. Probably, maybe not even that. It would have been a straight 10-10 probably. No, he would have won the secondary, the objective. So that would have pushed it to a 12-8 probably.
Yes, probably yes, because he has to deploy characters after the war machines. So probably after he deployed Ushabtis, by that time the new was putting the caskets on the hill. So at that point, I would have just measured 36 from the center of the hill and put everything out of range. And be like, okay, dude, you spent, 900 points on that build, and now it doesn't serve you. Which, by the way, it's exactly what happened to me when I played Luna Game 6 on Table 2. She was like, listen, and she had the banner that negates the leadership modifiers. So she was also extremely safe, but she was like, we are Table 2, Round 6, I'm not taking any risk. I don't want to even have to take that leadership 9 check. So she basically put everything either out of range or behind a hill or a wood. And she was like, that's it. You lose basically 2 turns and then good luck. And then I'm flying over and I'm going to try to erase you. And that's the same thing perhaps for you, with the difference that you don't have any pegs knights. So you cannot be aggressive. But I would probably try to get a 10-10 if possible, trying to scrap some points here and there like you did, right? So try to get those scorpions, maybe this, maybe that, the 7 light cavalry with bows and all that, and then be like, okay, because again, in Vegas, like, not losing was far more important than winning.
It's a very good point.
That's why
preserving points. Yeah,
preserving points was even more important. I ended up being 4th overall, and I lost 2 games. And I was doing the math. If I had just draw with Luna the last game, I would have been 3rd overall. Because it's the mechanic of how points and rankings was done was more in favor of trying to win small, or worst case scenario, draw. Try not to lose. So the
that's the thing. In the overall tournament, I went 4-2. Not a whole lot of battle points, but 4-2, and I got a high ranking in the overall tournament just from the win-loss scenario. Yeah. So against this list, I mean, is that what's the count? What's the list that this list doesn't want to see?
So basically, the weak point of this list is that he doesn't really have much that can countercharge. So once it's faced with a list that pushes you,
getting there. Yes,
like, for example, you get an empire with 2 big units of 10 knights, and then you have cannons and stuff. Well, that list is going to play very badly against it, because yes, you have caskets and you have all the combos, but you have 4 wounds on caskets. My cannon on your casket, my cannon on your casket, my cannon on your casket, and then I push everything forward.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now you have 2 magic missiles. Pray that is going to work out. He doesn't have any light shooting. He doesn't have the poison archers. He doesn't have anything with AP aside from the caskets. There's going to be like, you get 2 turns and then I'm going to crush you.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really have much. He only has a Necrosphinx that does 5 attacks, weapon skill 4. So it's not doing a ton of damage per se. So doesn't have a dragon, doesn't have chariots, doesn't have, double sphinx. So like a list of, or Bretonians,
Bretonian's a good,
It's a 20-0 for Bretonian. There's no chance he can hold against Bretonian. So they're gonna.
But the problem is if he gets double casket off early and blows up a peg unit, and I don't know, it's swingy, but I understand what you're saying. The weakness of this list is getting there.
If he gets Brett's Exiles, which won the tournament, because Blue, Eric did an amazing job, amazing tournament. but blue was bringing 2 units of peg, a big one with rerolls the casket. So it was basically testing on a 8 or a 7 rerollable, which is one thing. But if he gets like a regular Bretonia list with the banner of the lady, he's gonna roll on a 9. It doesn't matter how many vortexes you cast, because he ignores the leadership checks. So round 1, Matt, Luna, those lists are like middle of the, like in the center of the board, turn 1, behind the hill in deployment, so you don't shoot. Then you get 1 turn, I do my leadership checks on 9, and then I charge you.
Yep.
And you have nothing. At that point, you have nothing. And 1 charge of the Pax Knight is gonna blow everything away.
Okay, so that's the answer. That's the answer, right? Just
my
play
2 cents.
Bretonians. Just play Bretonians.
Yes.
Well, anyway,
a lot of those packs.
Andrea, thank you for joining me. That was an excellent battle report. Sorry the game was a little boring, but I needed your expertise on Tomb King Mortuary cults. If anyone's watching, please like and subscribe. And Andrea, I'll see you at our next game, right? Soon?
For sure, man. Like we gotta play again, and there will be another battle report coming. I might play Wood Elves next time, because I'm also like trying to change. I don't have the models yet, so I'll see if someone can borrow me an army. But I want to play something different, so we have to play. We will come back soon with another battle report, guys.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks a lot for having me.